Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show here on YouTube. Swinging into the review space today, we have the 1977 Marvel Legends Spider-Man.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
So, like I said, today we are talking about the Marvel Legends Spider-Man 1977 figure. This is based off the 1977 live-action Spider-Man movie / TV show, and it's overall pretty cool. You can see some of the things he comes with in the package, like 2 web splats and some extra hands. There is a piece of string along here that you saw before, kind of in action. No alternate unmasked head. They probably couldn't get the Nicholas Hammond likeness for this one. But the box itself looks really cool. It's giving me like VHS box vibes. It might just be me. But you can see right along the side here it says 77 Spider-Man. We have a cool Spider-Man logo here. Of course, Marvel Legends, your warning. Top of the box, also a Spider-Man logo. On the side, we get a nice picture of Spider-Man from the show, Spider-Man 77. Other side, another cool picture of Spider-Man. And then on the back, picture of the figure swinging, but you can see it says inspired by the 1977 Spider-Man movie, as well as that in multiple languages. So, yeah, this is a Walmart exclusive. It runs for about $25. And just to say it, because I did talk about it on one of the most recent episodes of the Rock Nerd Radio Show, I hate Walmart pre-orders. I had this thing pre-ordered. It was supposed to ship in like June. They pushed it back. Fine. I was waiting. They canceled the pre-order. I was annoyed. And then 2 days later, let me rewind. They canceled the pre-order claiming lack of inventory. And then 2 days later, it went back up on sale anyway. So I had to pre-order it again, or not even pre-order. I had to order it that day. A couple of days later, it showed up. I was a little annoyed at that, but hey, he's here now. So let's get him out of the box and give him a proper review. So here is the 1977 Spider-Man straight out of the package. You know, one of the things that I like about this costume, about this figure, about this look, is that it's not like overly designed. I like a lot of the MCU designs for characters, but sometimes I feel like they get a little too, I don't know, hyper designed. I don't know what the right word is. This comes from an era where it was really just a stuntman or an actor in a suit. And it looks like the character is supposed to look like. There are some limitations to that because of what I just said, but there are some really cool things. And just to show you the paint and the deco on this figure first, I want to zoom in on that head because that is a very TV Spider-Man head. It has these nice bulging eyes, and they are molded on. Like, you can actually feel they're almost like goggles, and they just look really cool. You know, the eyepieces are bumped out of the face mask. They're not just painted on. And the web lines look incredible on this figure. They are nice and full, and they look great even as you spin him all around. I don't seem to have any paint mismatch on mine. I'm getting a weird glare there. Hang on. There we go. That was because there was too much light hitting it. But yeah, there's no paint mismatch. All the lines seem to be connected, and it looks really cool. I really do like the look of the head just starting out. Going down through the rest of the body, you can see a nice Spider-Man symbol on the chest there, as well as the web lines looking very clean. A nice deep blue and a nice bright red on there. And of course, the web lines continue down. Only parts where there are any breaks is here on the elbows, on the inside part. That's just because that's where the the pegs are and stuff, the joint. So the joints aren't decoed, which is understandable. On the back of the figure, we have a Spider-Man back logo, a hole here for, I don't know, the possibility of a backpack or something. But we do have a belt going along the figure as well. And this looks really neat. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I don't remember the 77 Spider-Man all that much. Hell, I wasn't born until the 80s. But I've seen clips of it. I've never seen the thing full through. I believe there's 13 episodes aside from that movie. But the belt does look neat. I'm not entirely sure why Spider-Man needed a belt. Is it like a utility belt? It could be. I honestly forget. But here it is, and it looks fine. You can kind of get it out of the way. And then, of course, we still have the Spider-Man web pattern, the red and the web pattern going along his waist as well. But the belt definitely hides that. I don't want to shift the belt too much because I don't want to risk breaking the belt. But you can see that it definitely goes around. Then, of course, moving down to the legs, they are in blue. Boots do have red on them with the nice web lines, and same with the arms too. We have blue on one side down to the gloves where they turn red. We also have red on the arms. Web lines nicely painted on mine. I can't speak for everyone's copy, but mine has no paint errors, which at least none that I'm seeing. So if you see one, by all means, point it out. But he also has this wrist piece here, which I guess is like a web shooter, web cartridge, something. It is nicely decoed. It fits very tightly around his waist, his wrist, and I'm almost wondering if it's meant to be so tight. I don't want to, keep moving it. I don't want to rub any paint off or anything, but it is cool. It looks very good, and I guess it is true to what we got on screen. So out of the package, Spider-Man is looking like this. He, of course, is sporting 2 fists, but he does have some change in hand accessories if you want. So, of course, you can pop a fist off, and you can give him more of a nice kind of open hand. So there is the open hand. It's good for crawling. It might be good for trying to grab a web. It might be good for singing lyrics of his favorite song, very expressively. But there is also a second hand option on the left. So that is also an open hand as well. So you can display your Spider-Man with whatever hand gestures you want him to. Continuing along with the other accessories, we do have these 2 kind of web splats. And they're neat. I think they're pretty cool. I just don't really know what I'm going to do with them because they're just kind of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a thing. It's soft plastic, so you can move it around if you want to. The other one's a little larger. So just to compare the 2 real quick, you can kind of see the size difference here. This one more oval in overall shape, but I don't see them really sticking on anybody. In fact, let's bring in Chameleon since he's standing right here. What are we doing with this? Like that? Are we sandwiching it between a gun and the character, and then they have web on them? Sure, I guess. I really don't know. So they're web effects that are here, and they exist, and you can use them if you want. The other accessory that he comes with is literally a piece of string, and you saw him swinging on this before. This is just a piece of string. Now, in the show, he shot string out. You could tell it was string. It didn't really look like webs. So, you're just going to have this string for him to use. Now, you kind of saw him swinging around in the intro to this video, so you can just tie the string around his wrist if you like. And, of course, now on camera, I can't tie a knot. There we go. And, you could lasso it onto somebody, let me bring Chameleon out again because he's here. You can, just, loop the string around so he's catching a bad guy, perhaps. And he might be breaking his neck if he does it this way. But you could also display him swinging from the string. So, as long as you've tied a decent enough knot, you have a Spider-Man on a string. Perhaps you'll display him in your display by hanging on this string. I don't know what to tell you. It's neat that this has a string, but I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it, if anything. Because I'm not displaying him literally hanging from a string from my display where he'll be swinging around all the time, and one of my 2 cats will probably try to use him as a cat toy. So I don't really get the string thing. I'm sorry. As an actual accessory. Anyway, let's talk about his articulation because he's human articulate. He has human-based articulation. Doesn't have a ton of extra articulation, probably because they're trying to mimic what you would have seen with the actor. That's my assumption, at least. So the head is on a ball joint. It can look left and right. You get some up and down and some wiggle, just a little bit of wiggle and waggle in there. But that ball joint is on a slider joint. It allows the head to tilt back that far and go forward that far. And you can see the slider joint there in the neck, so it does break up the paint a little bit, but you know, that's expected on these joints, like I've said before. At the waist, we do have rotation, and as long as the belt is up, it does not get in the way. If you lower the belt into where that joint is, like, yeah, it's going to kind of hinder the rotation. So I kind of pull it up a little bit, and he can rotate freely. Ab crunch, that's going to go that far forward, and on mine it's just like one solid click. Like, it's not making a very loud click, but that's as far as it's going to go. Back, we're getting, Jesus, barely any. He is definitely standing back, but like one click and it barely feels like a click. So yeah, he does that too. At the arms, no butterfly shoulders. So no butterflies there at the shoulder, but the arm will move all the way around and they will go out just about straight out. We also have rotation at the shoulder, goes fully around. He is pinless, which is nice. So we do have double jointed pinless elbows. Of course, the peg in there is red, so it kind of does break up the blue on the costume a little bit, especially going between the elbow itself. But, you know, what are we going to do? And, of course, you can see the red for the joint that the shoulder is on. At the hands, we're going to have full rotation, and we're going to have in and out movement. That is the same on every set of hands that we have here for both left and right, open hand or fist. Legs are going to kick forward that much, so pretty much straight ahead, and they are both going to kick out. Let me move the arms that much, so not a full Van Damme, but he can do a decent little split. We have rotation at the leg and double jointed pinless knee, and he can kick his own butt pretty well. That leg folds up quite nicely. The thing that I am shocked about is that there's no boot cut on this figure. I would have sworn they could have made put a boot cut here, and there's even, like, on mine, a slight difference in the paint. I don't know how well it's coming through on camera, but like it almost looks like there should be a boot cut, and there's not. And that to me is weird, because standing kind of just like stock like this, his feet, they honestly look a little crooked. Like, you can see it here, they look like they're standing a little crooked, at least to me. I really think a boot cut would have helped. I mean, of course, you can rotate his legs inward, but like the feet, they end up looking a little off to me. So I don't know. Of course, they're on pivots, the feet, so we do get ankle pivot, and we do get up and down, forward and back, whatever you want to call it, posability on there as well. So, you know, you can get him into some decently dynamic poses. Maybe not as anything as dynamic as, say, like the Maximum Spider-Man, but, you know, you can get him into some poses that a probably, you know, human actor would be able to accomplish. So maybe something along the lines of this. Let me just kind of balance him out real quick. And clearly he doesn't want to balance, but, you know, something along the lines of this. He'll bend, he'll look Spider-Man-y enough, but maybe not as dynamic as your comic book Spider-Man. So, speaking of some comic book Spider-Man, I think it's only fair that I take this figure and do some comparisons with some comic-based Spider-Man and maybe some live-action-based Spider-Man as well. So, first and foremost, the 1977 Spider-Man is being compared to the Japanese Spider-Man, the one who had his giant robot, the emissary of hell himself. And I want to say that these are the same mold. In fact, looking at them a little closer, like there's a lot of the same parts here. So I'm pretty sure these are the same mold. Everything looks very, very similar. They're all pinless. I think the biggest difference between these two, other than the stance I currently have them in, his blue, the Japanese Spider-Man's blue, is a little darker, and the red almost has a little bit of an orange tint to it. But separating these two, let's try another Spider-Man. So working our way backwards through the live-action Spider-Man, here's the 77 Spider-Man with the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I believe this is the final swing suit. I forget which one this was. God, there have been so many. But here's how they compare. You can see the 77 one is a little taller than Tom Holland. And here he is with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Sometimes I forget how dark the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man costume is. But yeah, here they are together. You can see the difference there. And here he is with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Again, you can see the difference in their costumes and their makeup and things like that. One thing that I have to say I'm very excited for is, as of this recording, in the September of 2025, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, I believe all three are coming back to theaters, as well as an unreleased cut of two. So I am so excited to maybe see, at the very least, Spider-Man 2 again in theaters. But let's get to some comic comparisons. Here's our 77 Spider-Man with our retro card, what would eventually evolve into the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. Still really like this one. And here he is with the animated VHS Vulture 2-pack, whatever you want to call that, the Spider-Man from that wave, or that 2-pack. And here he is with Maximum Spider-Man in a pose that he probably can't get into very well. So at the end of the day, I guess the question I have to ask is, who was this Spider-Man for? I think you really have to like any and all versions of live-action Spider-Man in order to really want this one on your shelf. I kind of wanted it because it seemed like a novelty, and I know some people are hoping that maybe we'll get like the Incredible Hulk and heroes from that era, so we could kind of make like a original MCU live-action shelf. I think it'd be cool. I don't know if it's going to happen, but hey, it's something that we could all maybe hope for. So, again, I think you really have to like Spider-Man in order to buy this figure. And like I said, I kind of do. So, it might not be your cup of tea. This might be a good one to sit out. And I think this is a good definition of an exclusive. Something that not everybody is going to want. And if you get it, then it's something that is hopefully readily available for you. I hope that if you manage to get your pre-order in, it didn't cancel, and that if it did cancel, you're able to get him anyway if you truly want him. So let me know what you think about this Spider-Man down in the comments below. Is he something that you're planning on adding to your collection, or are you wondering why anybody would want this? Let's discuss it. And remember, you can check out the Rock Nerd Radio Show podcast on your preferred podcast platform. It is a weekly podcast hosted by myself and normally hosted by my good friend and co-host, Vinny. We talk about all aspects of pop culture on it, so we would love it if you'd check that out. Well, I guess that wraps up this review, so until next time, I've been Dan. That's been 1977 Spider-Man. You all been pretty awesome. I'll see you around.